referred to angels so often in its main text, but then there are parts of the Zohar that have more angelic material. The role Michael and Gabriel go back to earlier tradition, and Gabriel is mentioned in the Bible, in the book of Daniel. Michael, I believe, is also mentioned a couple times in the Bible. And then in rabbinic literature, you have 4 archangels: Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. Michael and Gabriel are 2 major archangels in rabbinic tradition.
So I think we talked about prophets and their ability to interpret dreams, right? So I wanted to tie that in. And but we also know that our tradition says that there's no more prophecy. So does that mean that people can't interpret dreams now anymore? How does prophets and their interpretation of dreams fit into this whole?
It's not so much that prophets interpret dreams. I mean, that you do find it in the book of Daniel. There are dreams, and then Gabriel helps to interpret the dream. What the Zohar is saying. Well, let's start with that line, that amazing line in the Talmud. A dream is 1/60th of prophecy. So you might say, we don't have prophecy anymore. We have little hints of prophecy. One of the ways you get a hint of prophecy is in a dream. So a dream is a fraction of prophecy. But then the question of interpreting the dream, what's significant in the Zohar passage is that human interpretation has great power. You're not so much waiting for God to interpret the dream. You're trying to find out what the dream means. So you have to be careful who you tell your dream to. Okay, so people who use psychoanalysis, be careful who you pick to be your analyst. It has to be someone who's on your side. Now, that could raise. Certainly, people could object to that and argue that out of the room very quickly. But the Zohar is comparing dream to prophecy, but not equating them. As your question, if prophecy has ceased, that is a good rabbinic notion. That with the last of the biblical prophets, Malachi, prophecy ceased. Not everyone accepted that. In the Middle Ages, you have debates. It's called the Holy Spirit, Ruach HaKodesh. Ruach HaKodesh still manifests maybe at a slightly lower rung than prophecy, but still being inspiration. Sometimes this is called Bat Kol, right? An echo, literally the daughter of a voice. So you don't get God's voice, but you get the daughter of God's voice. You get an echo, a heavenly echo.
Okay, I'm just going to quickly read through the Zohar. Here we go. This is the notes section. Korban and Olah drawing near and descending. Korban, an offering, a sacrifice. The root kurv means to draw near. Why Korban, the final Hebrew letter nun, seems superfluous. Korban, the drawing near. Rabbi Shimon reads the word as Queruvan, the final nun, is understood as a pronominal suffix meaning there. Thus the word means the drawing near to the holy crowns, the Sephirot. This interpretation originates in Bahir. Why is it called Korban? Because it draws near the holy forms, another reading the holy powers. The Kabbalists of the 13th century relied on the Bahir and elaborated this particular teaching, as Rabbi Shimon indicates. This is well known to the comrades. The Korban is a sacrament, unifying all the aspects of divinity and symbolizing the ascent of the human soul on the ladder of the Sephirot.
Somehow that's seen as a kind of inspiration, a kind of Holy Spirit that could make up for the lack of prophecy.
Alex has been waiting patiently, so I'm going to unmute him to ask his question.
Thank you. Hello, Daniel. So my question, if you could say a few words about Sephirot hierarchy, how one should understand it? Is it like the higher rounds or the higher Sephirot more kind of challenging to comprehend, goes from top to down, and specifically the Tiferet is below Gevorah and Hesed, and what does it mean?
I'm sorry, what was the last thing specifically? What about Gevorah?
Tiferet is below Gevorah and Hesed. How do you understand such?
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look again at the diagram. So this diagram is very helpful, but it's also problematic.